workplace situation? What is your life situation? Is it good to be heartbroken so that you get creative ideas? Or is it good to be in a relationship that you can discuss your ideas with? A mompreneurship. London School of Economics, Citibank, Accenture. Nah, not my scene. Let's move to modeling, Bollywood movies, parenting, something which is so offbeat. Yes, because you leave Bollywood films for parenting. And then you realize the value that I want to still do something. The fire is still burning. The passion is still there. I'm still chasing my dreams. I'm humbled, I'm honored to please welcome Tara Sharma on stage.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. And thank you all of you for having me here. I don't think I'm the regular B-School fireside chat guest, so I hope I do it justice. Touch wood.
Your touch wood is very acha, but we need that balance. The workplace is fine, so you're bringing the life element. Anyway, acha, tell me, why glamour? After London School of Economics, such corporate high flyer, suddenly you realize, what is it? Why? The fame?
To be honest, see, I'm a big believer. Firstly, I'll start by saying that I've listened to quite a lot of the talks here, and I think they were really good, really brilliant. I'm a big believer in each to their own. I see it on my show all the time. I'm also a big believer in one should never judge anyone because everyone's situation is different. And I start by saying that because I genuinely believe everyone's journey is different. I think startup is a very big buzzword here. And I think most people have this whole idea about building their businesses by getting all this investment and starting up and all the rest of it. But I think you can also be really creative with the ideas that you have. And I think as all the people who spoke here said, the most important thing is the idea. So quite honestly, for me, it wasn't just about glamour. I loved acting. I loved being on stage. I loved speaking. I love having an audience. I always joke that some of the best acting I did, I think, was when I was presenting things at Accenture and at Citibank. I think you act really well when you're in the corporate world as well. You have an audience and you're selling something. And quite honestly, you're doing something similar when you're acting on stage, when you're performing, when you're speaking at corporate events, when I'm moderating for my show. So, you know, the skill set you have or what you study. And I agree with some things Kunal said. But I also feel that for me personally, having gone to London School of Economics, gone on a scholarship to UWC, got the highest in my school in my ICSE, I've never been to business school, I haven't done my MBA, but I think what those things gave me was confidence. I think I might have got that confidence from learning online, but perhaps somebody like me, and perhaps many of you here, the validation from professors, from fellow students, whether it's, you know, just to massage your ego, but for somebody to clap in the audience, it gives you a sense of, okay, you know, maybe I'm doing okay. And I think that's something that most of us like. So jumping from acting to, from corporate to acting wasn't that different. But I knew that, you know, when I quit my job at Accenture in London, it was because I enjoyed what I was doing, but I knew I really wanted to act. And very frankly, I felt if I don't do it now, I'm not going to run around trees when I'm like 55, you know. So I thought I have to do it now, but the corporate job perhaps I can come back to.
The whole sense of knowing okay and confidence, the role of a partner in life. What is it? Do they bring confidence? Or is it good to be single and be very creative like Rockstar the movie?
See, again, I think it's each to their own. I don't think one can make any generic statements when it comes to anything, quite honestly. But for me personally, I always joke that Rupak is the co-producer of our kids and our show. So contrary to most people who think if you're in the performing world, after you're married and after you have kids, you have no work. There is an element of truth in that. After I got married and after, I was never a big superstar. So I'm very honest and I'm very aware of who I am. I have done 15 films. Some of them have been okay. Some have been really bad. And some have been pretty big hits, which is exciting, like Khosla Ka Ghosla and Masti and Page 3. But I really believe my real career began after I had kids. After our kids were born and after I met Rupak. Because somewhere, I think I re-got the confidence to create my own thing. My father, Pratap Sharma, was an author and a playwright. He used to be known as the golden voice of India. He did a lot of communication workshops. In fact, the reason I know Nirja Birla is because Kumaramangalam Birla went to dad and, wanted to learn to speak in public from my dad. And one thing dad always told me before he passed away 4 years ago was, if something you want to do doesn't exist, create it. And never stagnate, never sit and wait for the phone to ring. Especially when you're in a career like acting, more often than not, unless you're a superstar, you're waiting for the phone to ring. And I knew that after my kids, chances were quite slim that I was going to get Karan Johar calling me and saying, come for this movie. So I figured like I'll follow dad's advice and I'll create my own thing. And I thought, at that point, my passion and what I really know is my priority, is my family, my kids. So I thought I've seen cooking shows, carpentry shows, but I've never seen an honest, maybe funny, maybe helpful show on cleaning a baby's potty or giving them a bath or taking them on a plane. And so I thought, why don't I create a show about that? So I started the Tara Sharma show 5 years ago. And I had no idea how to create a show. I just knew, narcissistic as it sounds, I wanted to be on screen. I wanted to have my own show. So frankly, I learned how to do it. I of course, had the great co-producer of the kids and the show at home. So he said, I'll co-produce the show if you figure out how to do it. So because I have an interest in business, I went to brands and I did my acting. I pitched it to Fisher Price and I presented it and they sponsored it right away and it went on from there. So it's kind of like a startup, but every season it's a new pitch. I don't have VC funding. I don't have big funding. I depend on brands. Every time, and the parenting space, believe me, in the 5 years that I've been in, it has become extremely competitive and it's a huge space. So when you ask about happy marriages and happy lives and all, it's no longer a joking question because I think all of you know, like the kids space, whether it's retail, whether it's blogs, whether it's, e-magazines, whatever it is, it's huge. So I think for me, that's how my show began. And quite honestly, I think there's a lot of interest in family and sharing and learning from each other without being patronizing.
So what about young MBAs who will move into doing families, double income, no kids, get into live-in relationships, and still find their way? How is that going to play out? What do you feel?
I don't think, again, each to their own. I don't think whether you're single or whether you're like, gay or whether you're married or whatever it is, I don't think it really impacts your career. I think you can be a great team with whoever your partner is, if you have a partner, or you can go at it alone. I think there's no doubt that support of somebody you love is very helpful. And I think knowing who you are is really important. And I say this specifically to the women in the audience. I'm not sure how many women there are at ISB or even in this audience, but I think it's really important to know yourself because I think nowadays people get really, Rupak told me this morning about an article he read where somebody said, people start stressing that, oh my God, if I haven't got a VC to invest so many million in me, I'm not doing well, or, and even in my parenting space, believe me, so many of my fellow bloggers and all have raised funds, have suddenly become, announced on Facebook that they've got so many millions and this app has launched and that. And then, I stop and I think that, the rules are different for everyone. A mompreneur's rules are probably a bit different to an entrepreneur's rules. Scaling up is not always the answer. Kunal spoke about trust. In the parenting space, I think trust is the biggest and the most important factor. If I suddenly went out and got a team of 500, and if I wasn't the one responding to every tweet and every Facebook message, I don't know if so many people would watch my show. I even now don't know if so many people watch my show, so please go and watch my show. But, I think it's really important to know who you are before you get caught up in the bubble of supposed success.
Do you feel then children complete you?
Yes. I think children complete me. Again, each to their own. It's not for everyone. For me, it is. I feel, for me, I also managed to find a career that involves my family. It doesn't work for everyone. Perhaps not everyone would want it. But I feel like for someone like me, before I had the kids, I always thought, oh, I'll leave my kids for 40 days. I'll go and do a shoot in Poland. I'll take up a movie offer. And But you know, the kind of person I am, that didn't happen. I didn't want to leave them. I wanted to be there. I wanted to do all that. So I had to find a way of combining it. There are plenty of people I know who are comfortable to do that, to leave the kids, to go, and there's no right or wrong. It's just doing what works for you. And I think somebody else mentioned it today. If you're passionate about something, you can make it happen. But you need to know who you are and what success means to you. It's a subjective term. You know, success for some people is money. For some people, it's reaching the top of some ladder. And for some people, perhaps, honestly, it's being happy. So it depends what it is for each person.
And definitely, then happiness is also each his own.
Absolutely, yes.
Where does that passion come out from? Was it an always there, or is it just things just happen?
No, I think I'm quite ambitious. I mean, if I think about it, like I said, when I was in school, I got the highest in my school. Then I went on a scholarship to UWC. I was at LSC. I was even ambitious in my films. I didn't become some big superstar or whatever, but I think like everyone, especially in a room like this where you're obviously driven people, everyone wants to do the best at what they're doing. So again, you're not necessarily competing with other people, but within yourself, whatever you do, you want to do it well. So I think for me, yeah, the passion right now is to grow my show. To me, it's kind of like a form of media. Like our YouTube channel has not huge numbers, but it's almost 1 million views all organically. We've never spent any money on anything on digital because I'm very old-fashioned. So I like to actually know who those people are. I like to know who's actually following me on Twitter. You know, so for me, those kind of things are important. But I make so many mistakes, and so many of you over here will probably think that the way I'm doing it is wrong. My husband tells me all the time, if you want to grow, you've got to let go, you've got to scale up, let people take over, like slowly and steadily. So it's something I think each person has to find their own way.
When your show is so tied into your family, how do you break into silos when you need a break from the show?
Actually, now it's not. Season 1 and 2 followed my blog diary as a new mom. So season 1 was very much around us, fun things to do in New York with kids, kid wanting to do potty in the park and no toilet around or whatever, personal things. So season 1 and 2 were that. Season 3 changed the show into becoming a platform to discuss topical parenting issues with people from all walks of life with a view to helping bring about positive change. So there we had, an episode on children with special needs, child sex abuse awareness, working women. We had guests from Mary Com, Shilpa Shetty, Kajol, and of course a lot of non-celebrities. Season 4 now, we've just got our funding, our sponsor. So that we're widening the show to become a platform to discuss topical family, parenting, and women's and children's issues with people from all walks of life. So it's much less about us. It's more a platform to discuss and to hopefully help bring about positive change.
How do you handle male egos?
Male egos.
As you lead a team, as you run the show, you're the boss for the show.
Actually, my actual boss is Rupak, but he's actually very good at being my co-producer and boss because he doesn't really interfere at all. So if I'm truly honest, see, I'm a big believer in gender equality. And I also believe I'm not a feminist in the sense that I'm not a very active, women's rights person. I'm a believer in equality. I believe in some ways I was given 2 boys to kind of take that also forward because I think so much happens for the girl child that sometimes I get worried it shouldn't go the other way. Frankly, on my show, people keep saying we'll do an episode on the girl child, Sush will come and talk about the girl child, everyone will talk about the girl child. What about the poor boy children, So one has to be careful. I think it's really important to make sure everything is in balance. So similarly, I wouldn't want to talk only about the male egos, we can talk about the female egos also. So personally, I've been very fortunate to work with wonderful people. I'm learning a lot every day. I'm tremendously grateful for my Bollywood innings. I would love to act again, but I do believe it opened many doors. I speak now about going into a brand and getting funding, but I know a lot of that had to do with, acha, that girl from Masti is coming. They probably didn't expect me to go and start pitching and discussing the numbers. And now, of course, they don't look at me as a celeb. I'm just, oh my God, she's come to ask for more money. That's what most of them, I think. But the fact is that everything you do in life, I believe, and I have not achieved anything. I'm very much a startup, very much learning every day. but I think everything you do teaches you something. What I learned at LSC, I don't think I use it exactly. So Kunal, going back to you, I don't think it was wasted because today I do find, even if I'm talking to a Hindi film producer or if I'm talking to a corporate guy or if I'm addressing this audience, I feel you kind of use things you've learned everywhere in whatever you do. So now if I stand up and I do an item number, you'll know that I'm using my Bollywood skills.
So
That was supposed to get a laugh. You guys don't laugh much. Come on.
very serious. You're running
Yeah.
the thing. You're the boss,
Chalo,
na?
MBA doesn't mean you can't laugh. A few jokes here and there. Like,
So opening the floor for questions, anyone?
and please ask questions.
The intimidating.
Sorry? Yeah, there.
Hi, Tara. I'm also from the economics background, so because you did in London School of Economics, I want to ask this question. How do you use your economics in your day-to-day life or into your shows or whatever?
So actually, this is the cheating part. I went to London School of Economics, but I did my BSc in management. So, so I say that because everyone assumes that I studied economics, but most people who go to LSE don't all do economics. So, but you know what? I think being a freelancer and acting requires a lot of economics and a lot of my management degree. Because when I quit Accenture and came back to Bombay, I was so lost because I had no routine. I was offered 2 or 3 films, none of which took off on time. I was so used to a structured job and I was so much a creature of habit that I suddenly just didn't know what to do. You know, my 7 in the morning to 8 at night routine had completely got demolished. And because I was such a nerd and such a magoo all through my schooling, I created my own routine. So I was having Kathakali lessons and this lessons and that lessons just to make myself feel that I was in that. So my economics, you know, came in quite early. I started realizing if I do a modeling assignment, I'm not some big model, but I'm getting these offers and whatever. Okay, I'm making enough that'll actually tide me over this much period. So I was always thinking like that, but it was just in a different industry. And today, if I'm honest, I'm finally very glad that I'm able to combine my so-called, you know, entertainment and business interests with the show. But let me tell you that the visibility of the show and the journey it has is much harder than going and doing one film. And I say that because, you know, this for me is a passion. I'm always trying to build it. And still such few people know. So, you know, it's using that economics all the time.
There's one question in the second row.
Yeah. Tara, I have a question for you. I remember asking this question to Siddharth, an actor in Bollywood, and he's from SP Jain, a world orator, world debating champion. How does you have extremely accomplished academic record, LSE, the United World College, and how does it feel to be a cerebral actress in a Bollywood town which is not known for high IQ?
Oh, below the
So firstly, I would honestly, I would like to stick up for the film industry because I think people are really smart. They're really smart. And, you know, if I'm very honest, where I couldn't stay, there are people who have stayed who are, you know, they have stayed out of sheer smartness and grit. You know, for me, because of all this education and because of where I came from and because I felt I had the option and because somewhere I had the confidence that I could do something else, somehow, I didn't want to suffer for 2 months in some village somewhere where I couldn't understand the language, where I was doing a South Indian film but there are so many who do it. And it's not because they're stupid, but they're actually very smart because they know what their ambition is. So I think it's really important again to identify what each one's definition of success is. I used to say, you know, I'm half Indian and half English. So my Hindi is not great. So I used to say, That's why I'm not like going to be number one in Bollywood but there are people who speak much less Hindi than me who are up there. So, they're doing it but they're smart because that's what they want to do. That's their ambition and they're working towards it. It may not be with their MBA or whatever else, but they're smart in what they're doing. So I think as long as people are true to their passion and their ambition and they're achieving it, but I will say that things have changed a lot and there were times when I was not in my comfort zone. I've been in Hyderabad shooting for a long time with people that I really liked, but yes, I couldn't perhaps sit and just have a conversation, but that's changing a lot. And I think now if you actually look around, there are many more people like all of us in that industry as well.
So what are final tips for work-life balance as everyone will enter corporate world? I think you're the perfect epitome to explain that.
I don't know about that because I've actually created my own little work-life situation. And I say it on my show all the time also that all of us are very fortunate because most people in this room or who can be here have the luxury of choice. The reality is most people don't. So if they have to be in a certain job, they don't have the option of saying, no, I would like to be with my kids or whatever. But I think if you do have the opportunity to create your own way of working, I do think you need to know what your priorities are because when you're passionate about something, you can make it work. And more companies are enabling flexi hours, creches in the workplace, ways of making it easier for women to balance it all. And I think as my husband will agree, I think there's no one more efficient than a multitasking mom. And I say that without a shadow of a doubt because I know all the men in this room and all the superstar, startups that are raising all this and all that, hats off to them. But I really do think when a mother can balance screaming children, a dog jumping through hoops, a conference call, seeing what's going on in the kitchen, it's a huge skill. So I think if you can do all that and be successful at work, you're set.
And that is why
I can't do all that. I'm still learning. So
no, but mompreneurship is and that is something which you've created, and you've been so successful in it. It has been fascinating chatting, understanding so much from you, and getting insights as we enter into the corporate world and manage our families alongside. Thanks so much, Tara.
Thanks
for being here.